Assalamu alaikum everyone, this is Ayesha from CxO Global Forum, a knowledge sharing platform for all the C-levels across Pakistan and around the globe. Every time we have some very interesting guests with us. Today as well, we have Sir Fahad Bashir with us, who is the founder of ALPHAMIND Consulting. Assalamu alaikum sir, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Aisha.
Okay, so starting off with your background, can you tell me about your journey and what inspired you to start this ALPHAMIND Consulting?
Yeah, sure. So I was brought up and raised in Pakistan. I was born in Karachi, and my early education, college, everything. I went to the business school in Karachi, so I am a graduate from Institute of Business Management, and
Right.
then I started my career with Mindshare. And so my first job was with Asiatic Public Relations. So I was in the public relation industry for 2 years. Then I joined Mindshare in 2003. So that's where actually I would say the real journey started. So I got a pleasure. I mean, I had the privilege of working with some of the very top clients of Mindshare, like Pepsi, Gillette, GSK, and then later I was heading Unilever business in Pakistan as business director at Mindshare. Uh,
Right.
Around 2012, I was promoted as the managing director for Group M. So I moved from Mindshare to the group level, and I was
Right.
heading the investment and trading division of Group M. And it was going very well. I mean, obviously, it's the home country, friends, everyone, a very growing market. But I always wanted to challenge myself more. So after 3 years, when I was doing this Group M role in Pakistan, I was looking for a bigger challenge. And then I requested the management to, you know, find something for me which is more challenging. And I wanted to actually experience how work is being done internationally. So I requested the management to find something for me outside of Pakistan. So thankfully, I'm very grateful to the management, and Group M is a great company to work with from that point of view. They found me an assignment in Group M Indonesia, and I was relocated to Group M Indonesia as the chief investment officer, where I was looking after the entire investment portfolio in Indonesia. And while I was in Indonesia, again, fantastic country to be, great company to work with, great people I have met, I have worked. It was like great 2 years, and then I decided to move to Australia because it was long term. I had a plan to settle down with the family in Australia, so I moved to
Okay.
Australia in 2018. And in Australia, again, Group M has been really kind and supportive, and I got a role at Group M Australia as head of partnerships. So started the same investment assignment in Australia, and again, it has its own set of challenges when you are a completely new market, and you have to kind of start from ground zero again. It's a much bigger challenge, much bigger market, and but it was fun talking to all the partners, understanding Australia, how investment is doing, because Australia is a very, very advanced market. So I was lucky that I worked in Pakistan, then I worked in Indonesia, which is one of the fastest growing markets. So you learn a lot while you're working in markets that are growing, and then you move to a market which is highly structured, and where that's where I started putting my thoughts in a far more structured manner. So I did assignment with Group M. Around 2021, I got an offer from IPG Media Brands, which is world's, I think, right now number three, number four biggest holding group. And Group M and WPP is world's largest. Everyone knows that. And IPG Media Brands is third and fourth. But it was a tough decision, and because I was with Group M for 16 years by that time, so leaving a company
Okay.
after 16 years is really difficult because you know the challenges, culture, everything very well. So the reason I chose IPG is that I was offered a role to head Asia Pacific region, where I was supposed to handle 10 markets. And those 10 markets were like China, India, Australia, Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, Japan, New Zealand. And I thought that it's going to be a far bigger challenge compared to
Right.
what I have been doing. And then it's going to give me an exposure of like massive markets. Like you can imagine the size of India and China, right? So that was a great opportunity, and I just opted for it. And once I picked up the role, then I was relocated to Singapore. So I was in Singapore for a year and a half, and I moved back to Australia last year. And and then I decided that there has to be something more, because this is something what I've been doing for like 23 years now, and I hope that I am good at it. So far, I mean, wherever I have come all the way, so I have learned something. So all I can do is I can bring those learning and a multi-market experience to my consulting thing. And
Right.
so when I came to Australia, I was looking for jobs because I had resigned IPG from Singapore, and then I moved to Australia, and I was looking for assignments. And then I came across like some really old and I would say good friends on the media side in Australia, and we became good friends. We met in Australia. We became very good friends very quickly, and not just friends. We respect each other professionally a lot. So they said that why don't you come and solve a problem in our company and pick up consulting, 2 3 month consulting, fix that problem, and we'll see. When I started doing that, and then I realized that I'm really enjoying it, because you're helping someone fixing a problem. And I mean, I was doing client servicing. I work with clients, problem solving. I knew that my skills of problem solving is good, but
Right.
to what extent it is better, you never knew unless you really jump into it and you find out. And when I started consulting, like as an independent consultant, that's when I realized that I think I should take this as now a permanent kind of a work. And that's what inspired me to launch Alpha Mind Consulting, which is like, I think 4 days. It's now a 4 day old company. We just launched, and but we are on the roadmap now.
So, sir, what are the core values or guiding principles that drive you and your company?
So the value is something that the first value that my company has and our company has, because it's a team of consultants who are working with me. So I wouldn't say it's me only. So the people who are working with me, it stems from a very old learning from, I think, my late father, because
Right.
when I was kind of young and in college days and stuff, and I was about to start my job. So my late father told me that, Fahad, one thing that you don't compromise on is your principles, even if it costs you your job, right? And that value is honesty and integrity. So for that, there is no compromise and there is no opportunity cost for that. So our company first value stems from that, which is integrity and honesty. Secondly is innovation, because I very strongly believe that a lot of companies start stalling, not because their demand is slowing down or not because there are too many challenges in the company. It's because somehow or the other they fail to change or innovate their business models. So the second is innovation, where we can really help them to see a different perspective of how things could be done. And the third one is
Right.
insight, which is the
Okay.
grassroots level of every business and every industry. Like unless you know your customer well, unless you know their
Yeah.
business well, because all of us know our business very well, but when we work in the service industry, we work with clients, and it's very important to understand what the challenges the clients are facing. So the third one is insights. So if I have to put it, integrity, innovation, and insights, three core values.
Right. So, can you share some highlights or memorable moments from your experience as the founder of Alpha Mind Consulting?
Well, yeah, of course, because when I started conceiving this whole idea somewhere around, I think, Feb, and one thing I believe that whatever you do at any stage in your career, you need a mentor. So sometimes we feel
Right.
that we've grown too much in our field, we know too much, but not, too much is not never there. So then I came across a mentor in Australia here. She's based in Sydney, and I mean, she has climbed through the ranks of like IBM, and she's running three businesses herself, and she's very successful. And she told me that you need to understand the business and the business processes and the business Can you hear me, Aisha? Because I lost you for a few
Yes,
minutes.
I
Or
can. I guess now you're audible.
okay. So I took help from her, and
Right.
the whole model, which I was very confident about in Feb, she looked at the model and she said, and she started throwing questions at me. And interestingly, when I thought that I'm very well prepared, I did not have the answers to any of the questions that she asked me. And she said, "You are not ready."
Okay.
And I was like, I mean, it feels something like, obviously you are coming with 23 years of experience also, but I said, no, 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 let's park the ego at this stage, because what she's saying is also making a lot of sense. So I started reworking all my model in March when I met her, because every 1 month we have calls. In March,
Right.
she said, okay, the basic principles are right, and but XYZ things are still not being addressed, still not workable. And I was like really keen to launch it in March. I mean, somehow there it had my on my milestone that I have to go live with this company in March, but I had to pull back. I went straight again back to the drawing board, remodeled everything. And in April when we met, and she again asked me a few questions, and she said, no, 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 this is another dimension. You have to look at it. So April was also delayed. So that's obviously a memorable moment in this launch, because I had to kind of scrap my business core idea 4 times. And eventually, when we again had a chat end of April, and she said, now this is looks really makes sense and it looks really good. So go ahead with it. And that's when actually the rubber hit the road, and I thought, okay, let's announce it properly. In the meanwhile, obviously, back end there's a lot of work that has happened in the last 4 5 months. So yeah, that's very memorable, because it reminded me of my very old planning days, when we used to take a plan to the client and client used to reject our plan outright, that this plan is not good. And we used to get really angry that, we have spent like days making a plan or a strategy, and the client in a second said it doesn't make sense. So it also gave me a learning that eventually I think this is going to happen a lot more with me when we have started this company, because we are dealing with clients. And so yeah, that learning has kind of refreshed that, client probably, for clients we have to go back to the drawing board, not once, not twice, maybe many times, before we get the right solution.
Right. So, sir, what do you find most rewarding about leading a consulting firm?
uh, Although I've just started, but since I've been doing independent consultant work also for the last 4 5 months, I think the most rewarding thing is uh, that you really help somebody solve a problem and it starts working for them. So
Oh,
you, because in life and in corporate business, when we are working, sometimes we are so overloaded with information and work that we sometimes miss very basic things in the business model. And because everybody's in a rush to deliver the numbers, to deliver the profitability, to grow the markets, and you really don't think that what's, and sometimes you keep on doing things one after another without thinking that you are doing this today. What's going to happen like 3 months down the line or 3 years down the line, what you are doing today, because this model might fall flat, right? But at that time, you don't have that time to think about, and you can't do overthinking. You just have like few discussions, roll it out. So this is what is
right.
rewarding, that client really feels happy, because they are also in the same cycle of doing a lot of things, and they hire you to look into their business and tell them that what the problem is. And so that's like really exciting. I mean, that's the most rewarding part.
So, what do you believe sets Alpha Mind Consulting apart from the other consulting firms?
Uh, well, it's too early to say. I'll be very honest, because as I said, I believe in remodeling the business and pivoting the model very quickly. So
Right.
at this moment, what sets us apart is that if we look at all the large consulting firms, they have a lot of young talent, like BCG, Bain, McKinsey. They hire the top graduates from Ivy League colleges, and those kids are young kids. They are very smart kids. They are very hardworking boys and girls. They can be great functional team, but they don't have the in-depth understanding of every industry, because they haven't worked there. They know the
Right.
framework. They put a structure. In case of Alpha Mind Consulting, what we have is the pool of consultants that I have, every consultant is more than 2 decades of experience in their respective field, and they have worked with the top organizations, you name it. And I've got a team of consultants from US, I've got consultants from UK, I've got consultants from India, Singapore, Hong Kong, and these people have either handled multiple markets or have worked
Right.
in very big, large scale markets and on a very in-depth and senior position. So what happens is when a young candidate goes to a client, they can present a very good presentation, they can present really well, but the consultants that we have, they have seen the transition in their industries of what started, what happened,
Right.
how the industry has grown, and where the problems are at a
Mhm.
surface level and a deep inside also. So that's what our edge is at the moment.
Right. So, how do you update it on the industry's trends and developments to ensure that you remain effective in your field?
Well, that's a lot of work, because one thing, because probably a lot of people are watching it, I would like to say that consulting is has very long working hours, because
Right.
you have to read a lot. When you have a assignment, you have to think really deep in strategy. Sometimes it takes days, sometimes your mind stops working, so you have to, refresh yourself, and you have to do a lot of reading because access of information is too much. So these days, if you go, I mean, digital is one thing. Like, I have probably subscribed to the digital sites and platforms of companies, and I don't even have time to read all of them because I've oversubscribed, right? So I
Okay.
get bombarded with information every day. So, but you have to read a lot, which I do. Like, I spend a lot of time reading early morning because my day starts really early. I start at 5:30 or 5 o'clock normally in the morning. So what
Okay.
I do is, first hour I only read. Then during the day I break for 1 hour or so. I read. I have the phone. If my kids are like in the swimming classes, I'm still reading because while they're swimming, I have got nothing else to do. So I read. So yeah, I try to read and stay in touch as much as often, because obviously one of the transitions which we are seeing is a technology transformation happening in the industry, especially in form of AI. And there's so much information floating around in AI. Not everything
Mhm.
is correct, not everything is wrong. Is it the right model? Is it going to work or not? So there's too much
Right.
noise that it's, so you have to read about AI, you have to read about your own business. And while I'm not the specialist in every field, I'm kind of a generalist and I've got experts in every field. But when I talk to them, if I'm talking to them about analytics, I should know the basics of analytics before I talk to them
Definitely.
or I go to a client, right? So you have to then go and study analytics, the top lines, so that you can have a meaningful conversation with the client. So yeah,
Right.
I would say a lot of reading and networking when you meet a lot of people and meet good people. I would advise people out there in industry who are knowledgeable. Talk to your seniors. There's still even today, if I am 20, I have got 23 years of experience. I have got seniors who are like 30 years, and talk to them. There is no bigger treasure than a senior being there telling you about his perspective, and that's when you learn a lot. Having a 1 hour coffee, I think, is equivalent to one book in itself if you meet a good senior.
So, what challenges do you face in your current position?
The challenges, there are many, I would say, because it's a very competitive field and there are a
Right.
lot of consulting firms. I mean, you take the big fours out because they are big fours. They are, I mean, we are not even close. We have just launched. But other than that, there is a mushroom growth of consulting businesses across the world. Sorry. Good night.
No worries.
So, so yeah, so there are so much and so many consulting firms around that it's hard to get in there and register your point of view, right? So you use your network and you do keep looking at your business planning. You have to do business development, because I've been with like working with like very large groups like WPP and IPG. When we work with clients in those groups, generally you don't have to go out and pitch your business. Clients invite you for pitches. After a very long time, I am actually going out every second day, meeting people and doing the business development work. So that's one of the biggest challenges. Convincing somebody that you can solve their problem, it's a task in itself, right? So that's the biggest challenge. And then how do we scale and everything? I'm not thinking too much about it because I'm focusing more on first building our credibility by doing some really good work. I've got some
Right.
top talent working with me, and they are even more seniors to me who are, and we are going to announce it very soon in the next couple of weeks. Who are the people who are working with AlphaMind? Right now the challenge is how are we going to do the business development? How are we going to handle the projects because we are doing work in different countries? So how are we going to solve that and manage the operations? So all that work is going on, and I'm sure with each day more and more challenges will keep popping up. So the top line is how do you grow the business to begin with?
Right. So outside of work, what are some of your interests or hobbies that you're passionate about?
Hobbies is reading. So if I'm not
Right.
on my tech side, which is phone or laptop, then I read a lot of books. I still am quite a traditional guy. I do not read books on like PDF formats and stuff. I believe in having a physical book. So I read a
Okay.
lot of books. And passion, as such, not my passion. I think it's all linked to my kids. So my outside of work, my only focus is spending some really good time with the kids, and it's great to see them growing, and it's great to see them learning. Because with everything that they're doing, with the passage of time, you feel that they're growing too fast. Like my little one who just came, there was a time he didn't used to even go in a swimming pool, and now he's like doing a proper swimming with strokes, right? So it's great progress. The other one is doing swimming, is doing fantastic cycling, and till 3 months ago, he was not even sitting on a bike without his training wheels, and now he's cycling properly. I call it all growth. So I spend a lot of time with them in that case, and we have a lot of discussions. And another great thing about consulting is when you're setting up, you are working from home through and throughout, right? So I've got like post-its on my walls, I've got whiteboard, everything. And my son, elder one, spends a lot of time reading those. And he sits with me when I'm doing like PowerPoint presentations. So he looks at graphs and he keeps asking me questions. So it's fantastic of how, I mean, it's great that, from this stage, they are some way or the other involved in what I'm doing. Probably they will get fascinated one day and take it up.
Right. So, how do you envision the future of Alpha Mind Consulting, and what are your goals for moving this company forward?
I think the core thing is to stay humble, be honest, as I said, integrity with the clients and all the stakeholders, and focus on what we are doing and the quality of work. Uh,
Right.
Everyone has a vision, but at this stage, I would say the plan is big. But the thing is, you know, do the get the basic right first, and then start chasing the dream. So learn to walk and then run. So we are in a phase where we are learning to walk right now. We will eventually run, and we will do it soon. We are practicing it. It's just that at this stage we would like to walk, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
So finally, what legacy do you hope to leave through your work with Alpha Mind Consulting?
A huge portfolio of clients talking good things and saying good things about AlphaMind. And truly, if you ask me what the vision should be and what the vision is, so we would like to create a history because everyone is quite used to say big four when it comes to consulting. What is big four? The big top four global consulting firms. So why can't this whole context of big four change it? Why can't it be big five? So if somebody has to be fifth one, I think it has to be big five, 10 years or 11 years down the line. That I would say would be the legacy.
So done with a short interview here with all your questions, just to know you better. I hope that our viewers would be able to learn something out of it. And thank you so much for pulling out time from your busy schedule for this discussion.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me. It was really nice talking to you,
Thank you.
Ayesha. Thank you.
Take
Thank you
care.
very much. You too. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.